everyone. Welcome back to our brand new series on debunking claims that the Muhammad of Islam did indeed exist in the 7th century. Last episode, we gave you an overview of why debunking these alleged claims by our Muslim friends, 16 claims to be exact, is extremely important because we want to show without a shadow of a doubt that these claims don't come even close to supporting the existence of a real person according to the Islamic traditions by the name Muhammad. Today, we're going to begin taking a deep dive into these claims, and with me here in studio to do so is our dear brother, Dr. J. Smith. Dr. J, welcome back.
Thank you.
So what are we going to start with today?
Well, what we want to do is we want to give some background. Let's go and look at the slide presentation, and let's look at the map. Here's the map that you need to look at. And as you see on the map there, we've used this map many times before. I want you to look at the dark brown area of the map. Can you see the dark brown area there? That is the area that, according to the Islamic traditions, this is the standard
Where it
Islamic
says
narrative.
Hijaz and Yemen.
Yeah, that includes the Hijaz. The Hijaz is where Medina and Mecca are. And Yemen in the south. And it starts really at Tabuk, way up in the north, all the way down to Yemen in the south. That area, western part of Arabia, not Saudi Arabia at that time. It was called Arabia Deserta, for a very good reason. It was a desert. Nonetheless, that's what they claim, and that everything happens in that middle part where you see Medina and Mecca are. Now, let's go ahead and we notice, according to their narrative, Standard Islamic Narrative, not you and me, this is their narrative, this is how it expanded. This is what they tell us. They say that Muhammad's empire from 622 to 632, that's when the Khilafah started. Some would say when he created the Caliphate there in 622, although some would say that really didn't start till 624. Nonetheless, let's just say 622 to make it easy. That 10-year period, that brown area is as much as he controlled, that brown area. But after he died in 632, then you have Abu Bakr coming to power for 2 years, and then you followed him by Umar for 10 years, from 634 to 644, and then you have Uthman from 644 to 656, 12 years, and then you have Ali for the last 5 years, from 656 to 661, and that's known as the Rashidun period. So let's put that up there. There's the Rashidun period. They expanded their borders to that orange area. So from 632 to 661, we're talking roughly 30 years that the Rashidun period existed. And that included Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, the 4 rightly guided caliphs. Mm-hmm. Add Muhammad to that, and that puts another 8 years onto it. So let's say roughly 40 years. It then now controlled that orange area and the brown area that you see on the map there. That's a large amount of land. That's a huge amount of land. In fact, it goes from Tripoli in the west all the way over to Afghanistan in the east, and from Turkey in the north all the way down to Yemen and Oman in the south. Huge amount of land. Really the second biggest superpower of its day, second only to the Byzantine Empire, which would be over to the west, where what is today Europe, and of course all the way over to Spain. Now, at the end of the Rashidun period, at the end of the rightly guided caliph, you then have the Umayyads come to power.
That's right.
And the Umayyads starting with Muawiyah. He defeats Ali in the Battle of Siffin in 661, and then he starts the Umayyad caliph. Now here's interesting. The Rashidun period, everything that's happening in the Rashidun period, the headquarters for that is down in Medina, which is in the brown area. You can see it there.
Until the time of Ali.
Including Ali, but in the time of Muawiyah. But where does Muawiyah go?
Damascus.
He goes to Damascus. And here's the curiosity.
Yeah.
We don't have any reference anywhere at all on any coins, on any documentation for not only Muhammad. We don't have any reference for anybody called Abu Bakr or Umar or Uthman or Ali. We just don't have anything for them. You would think there would be coins. That would be the first thing you would think of. We can't find any coins with their names on it. If they were caliphs, the first thing they do would mint coins to introduce themselves to their people.
And also, I mean, the way I grew up studying it is that, the Muawiyah and his tribe were one of the competing tribes around Mecca. So if that was his heritage,
then why is he down there?
Why would he go to Damascus?
See, why people haven't thought this through. Yeah. He is not down in Mecca and Medina. He is nowhere near Mecca and Medina. He's way up in Damascus. Damascus is way up at the top of that orange area. It's right up next to Turkey. In fact, it's very close to the Byzantine Empire. That's where Damascus is one of the oldest cities in the history of mankind. It would make sense that if there was any empire, any Rashidun period, they would be up there. Why? Because there's water up there. Where there's water, there's food. Where there's food, there are people. People, towns, cities. Cities, civilization, civilizations, history. Maybe we said this many times. Where there is no water, there's no food. No food, no people, no towns, no cities, no civilization, no history. And that's the case with the brown area. The brown area, which is Mecca, Medina, where they tell us history began for Islam, is in a desert. And that's why there's no civilization. We just can't find any reference to these guys, these 4 guys. Well, 5 guys, including Muhammad. Muhammad, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, or Ali. And we're asking Muslims, show us their references. And don't give us 9th and 10th century material that's redacted back. We want material from the 7th century for these 4 guys, this Rashidun period. Cannot find it. What's interesting is they're all down in Mecca and Medina, and that's what the tradition tells us. Every standard Islamic narrative says that they're all living in Medina, and they are, basically the empire is being formed from Medina. If that is the case, then what is Muawiyah doing way up 1,200 miles to the north? In Damascus. Okay?
Exactly.
Huge important that you're bringing up here. Thanks for doing that. So let's then go and see what he does. Well, then we just get to the next period, and this is the Umayyad dynasty that he introduces. That's the purple area, and enlarges its borders, which includes, by the time of the end of the Caliphate, by the time of Abd al-Malik, even in the 7th century, it includes from Spain in the west all the way to, well, you're almost into the Indus River, Kabul, and Afghanistan in the east, and of course in Turkey in the north, down to Yemen in the south. That is even a larger area. But I'm not really interested in the purple area for now, because we're not talking about the Umayyad Caliphate. We're not really introducing this problem, because we're talking about Muhammad. Muhammad is much earlier, obviously.
That's right.
He starts his ruling in 622, 624, if you want, up until 630. We're looking at that 8-year period between 622 to 632, 10-year period. We're looking at that 10-year period. And so that's all we're interested in these episodes. So let's go ahead and let's look at the next slide. According to the Standard Islamic Narrative, remember this slide, remember this map. We're going to continue to come back to this map. So what do the Muslims claim? Well, let's look at the next slide. Here's what they claim. Muhammad lived in the 7th century and in the Hijaz. There's the Hijaz. I've given you can see it now. It's very clear. There's where Muhammad was born in Mecca, lived in Mecca from 570 to 622. That's what they tell us, all right? Mm-hmm. What they then say is that, let's go on. He moved to Medina, where he lived until 632.
That's the Hijrah, basically.
That's the Hijrah.
Yeah.
There you go. Khaybar in the north. He did later raids. And if you look at all the raids, if you look at Ibn Hisham or Al-Waqidi, look at their biographies of Muhammad, especially Al-Waqidi. Well, Al-Waqidi really just goes into Maghazi.
It's called Al-Maghazi for a reason.
Yeah. Which means what?
Which means, military campaigns, technically speaking.
And where did all those military campaigns take place?
You'll notice a lot of them have to do with northern territories.
Absolutely, but not Jerusalem, not Syria, not
Egypt,
Jordan, not Iraq.
Right.
They're all in what is around the Tabuk area.
The Arabian Peninsula, yeah.
They're all still in Deserta, Arabia Deserta. That's what's fascinating.
Yeah.
So you have these raids while living in Medina. He never moved further north than Khaybar. He doesn't go any further north than any of these raids than Khaybar. That's hugely significant. Because if you look at the map again, look where Khaybar is. It's in the brown area. He doesn't go any further than that.
Yeah, again, it doesn't matter where geographically these campaigns took place. It was within the Arabian Peninsula.
Okay, let me put that up there. He doesn't go any further than Khaybar. That's hugely significant, because if we're going to talk about where Muhammad is, then they have to place Muhammad south of Khaybar. Every reference to their Muhammad, because we're talking about the Muhammad of Mecca and Medina. We're not talking about any other Muhammad. Remember, Muhammad is a common name. Muhammad, as we well know, is a title. It means the praised one. It doesn't just mean the praised one. It also means altogether lovely. It doesn't mean just altogether lovely. It's also the reference that we find in the Old Testament to Muhammad. Muhammad is the same name. MHMD in Hebrew is the MHMD in Arabic. It's the same letters. And you put the vowels where you want to, because both Hebrew and Arabic do not have vowelization.
Right.
There are only 4 consonants. Those same 4 consonants are Song of Solomon 5:16. the altogether lovely one, referring to Solomon, who is in Jerusalem. That's the Muhammad. The Muhammad then, by the 4th century AD, St. Ambrose takes that word Muhammad in Syriac and applies it to Jesus Christ as the
That's
Messiah.
what Mel basically did with us in terms of the video series. That
With
we did
A.J.
with him.
Deuce.
Yes.
That's all A.J. Deuce's material.
Right.
And if you look by the 4th century on, that Muhammad becomes Jesus Christ. Once he becomes Jesus Christ, from the 5th, 6th, and up until the 7th century, anytime you see Muhammad, it is the praised one referring to Jesus. That's why we now look at that coin. The coin that we've been looking at with Mu'awiyah on the front, and on the back side, on the front, he's holding 3 crosses. On the back side, you see the word Muhammad at the bottom. It's referring to Jesus Christ. And that's dated to 663. That's well into the 7th century. So in the 7th century, Muhammad is Jesus the Messiah. And both the Jews and the Christians are waiting for the Messiah. One to come the first time, that's the Jews, and to come the second time, that's the Christians. Right. So Muhammad is pretty significant by the 7th century. He is the Messiah that's yet to come. He will come. And that's why it's important. Now, if that is the case, then Muhammad should be found everywhere because it's referring to Jesus. Notice what we're going to find. Let me just put this up.
And we need, of course, to continue with this discussion.
Look at the
episode.
I've just put it up. Let me do it again. Put it up there. He certainly never went up to what is presently Iraq or Iran or Syria or Lebanon or even Israel. In other words, the Muhammad of Islam only lived and moved in the brown area on the left and not in the orange area in the north, where the
And that's extremely important what you're saying, because I know where you're going with this, because soon we're going to start going through debunking some claims that are used by our Muslim friends, and surprise, surprise, sometimes this Muhammad or Muhammad is actually in these areas that you just pointed.
No, sometimes, every time.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm just put the conclusion. Here's the conclusion. So let's now go. Let's see where these 7th century, it's more than one, it's 16 actually, references to Muhammad place him. Let's go and see that. And what you're going to see, if you look at that map, all of them are where those red arrows are. Not one of them is where the brown arrow is.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, as always, Dr. J. And I hope everyone is enjoying this fascinating video series. And you'll begin to see that even the very Islamic claims that are used to support the existence of the so-called the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, are actually going to be used against them in terms of proving that it's a completely different person, and the geographical locations for these references is very peculiar. Until then, have a blessed day. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And ring the bell so you will be notified when we release new content. Our mission is to reach Muslims with the gospel of Jesus Christ and help Christians engage with their Muslim neighbors. If you want to join us in this life-changing work, please support us on patreon.com/CIRA International, or just click on the link below.